When you think of Egypt, what comes to mind? Pyramids, pharaohs, and maybe a bit of desert? But there's another side to Egypt that doesn't get as much attention: its economy. It's an economy that has gone through massive changes, from being heavily controlled and state-run to trying to find its footing in a global market. And with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi at the helm, things have taken a new turn. Let's dive into what's really going on. First, let's rewind to the 1950s and 60s under President Gamal Abdel Nasser. Egypt's economy was all about centralization. Nasser focused on import substitution, basically making everything Egypt needed right at home rather than relying on imports. It was a time when the government had its hands in almost every pie, from factories to farms. But fast forward to today, and it's a whole different ballgame. Under Sisi, the economy is part of Egypt's 2030 vision, aiming to diversify and modernize. Egypt is now the second largest economy in Africa by nominal GDP, trailing just behind Nigeria. Globally, it ranks 42nd as of 2024. Not too shabby, right? Starting in the 2000s, Egypt realized that it couldn't keep doing things the old way. Structural reforms were introduced. Think changes in fiscal and monetary policies, new business laws, and even some privatization. These reforms nudged Egypt towards a market-oriented economy, which caught the eye of foreign investors. This shift has been a game changer for Egypt, helping to stabilize the economy and boost annual growth. But while some numbers started looking better, not everything has been smooth sailing. You might think that political stability is a good thing for the economy, and it usually is. Egypt's relative stability and its proximity to Europe have made it an attractive spot for investors. But there's a catch. Under Sisi, Egypt's version of stability has been tightly controlled. Elections? They've been more of a formality than a true democratic process. In the 2018 election, Sisi won 97% of the vote. Hardly what you'd call a fair fight. His main opponent? He was actually a supporter who only ran to give the election some legitimacy. The 2023 election wasn't much different. Ahmad Tadawi, a key opposition figure, tried to run but withdrew, saying he couldn't even gather the minimum endorsements needed to qualify. His supporters claimed they were blocked by the government from giving him those endorsements. It's hard to call that a democracy. Sisi loves big projects. His biggest yet? The new administrative capital, built 45 kilometers east of Cairo. The idea was to ease Cairo's overcrowding issues by moving the government and a chunk of the population to a new city. Sounds like a good plan, right? But here's the twist. This new capital is still largely empty, and the homes there are so expensive that most Egyptians can't afford them. Critics say these projects are more about boosting Egypt's image rather than solving real problems. The new administrative capital isn't the only mega project on Sisi's list. There's the Al Fatah Al Alim Mosque, which is the second largest in the world by area, and the new Defense Ministry complex, dubbed the Octagon, the largest of its kind globally. Impressive, sure, but these projects haven't really improved the everyday lives of Egyptians. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: the military. Since Sisi came to power through a coup in 2013, the military's influence has skyrocketed. They're not just involved in defense, they've got their fingers in civilian sectors like transportation, telecommunications, and media. They've even taken a big role in building the new administrative capital. This has created a system where loyalty to the military is rewarded, while dissent is quickly crushed. The military's businesses operate without transparency, and their financial dealings are hidden from public view. And let's not forget the billions of dollars in bailout aid Egypt has received from its Gulf allies. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the UAE see Sisi as key to regional stability. But even the Gulf states are starting to lose patience. They've teamed up with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to demand changes, particularly in how military-owned companies operate. Egypt's economy is in trouble. The debt-to-GDP ratio has shot up to 92.7% in 2023 from 69.6% in 2010. Foreign currency is in short supply, and to make matters worse, the government has slashed its social safety net. Fuel and bread subsidies are gone, and new taxes have driven prices even higher. This has left most Egyptians either in poverty or teetering on the edge. The 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine dealt another blow, disrupting Egypt's wheat supply, something the country heavily relies on. To secure a loan from the IMF, Egypt had to devalue its currency. Since February 2022, the Egyptian pound has lost over half its value, and inflation has skyrocketed. Officially, inflation hit 39.7% in August 2023, but some say the real number is closer to 100%. Sisi, once hailed as Egypt's savior, is now facing growing discontent. His nationalist rhetoric no longer resonates as people struggle to make ends meet. When announcing his re-election bid in October, he told Egyptians that progress might come at the cost of hunger and deprivation. Not exactly a comforting message when you're struggling to put food on the table. And the situation is even more complicated by regional geopolitics. The ongoing Hamas-Israel war puts Egypt in a tough spot. While Egypt has cooperated with Israel, many Egyptians feel their government should do more to support Palestinians. This balancing act has left Sisi walking a tightrope. So, where does this leave Egypt? The country's size and population give it some resilience, but the economic situation is dire. The Gulf states, once reliable supporters, are now pushing for change. Sisi may have to resort to more forceful measures to maintain control, and that could lead to more unrest. And then there's the fear of further involvement in the Israel-Palestine conflict. If things escalate, Egypt could find itself caught in the middle, with unpredictable consequences. Sisi's government has managed to keep a lid on protests for now, but the undercurrent of dissatisfaction is growing. Egypt is at a crossroads. The decisions made in the coming years will shape the future of its economy, its political landscape, and its role in the region. Will it be able to navigate these challenges, or will it sink further into crisis? Only time will tell. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the complexities of the Egyptian economy. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. What do you think the future holds for Egypt? I'd love to hear your thoughts.